Remakes, remasters, and ports have been an established trend for as long as I can remember. My very first experience with a remake was with Super Mario Bros. Deluxe for the Game Boy Color. However, when I played that game, I've never played the original Mario Bros. So I guess it technically doesn't count? However, I can say with confidence that the first remake that I've played after playing its original version was Tomb Raider Anniversary on the PlayStation 2. And even though I have a lot of things to say about that game as a remake to the original Tomb Raider, this is not the time or video to discuss that game. Trust me, I can talk about for days about the Tomb Raider franchise, but more on that next year. Now, video game companies tend to port their older games to modern consoles so that new gamers get to know the games we grew up with, or to preserve these older titles that were stuck on older hardware that is hard to come by these days. And this problem applies especially to console exclusive games. Now, while Xbox doesn't have issues with this trend since every game that releases on Xbox also releases on PC, they do get a pass. Not to mention that their consoles are also backwards compatible with older console titles, which, you know what? That's a win I can give to Xbox, besides Game Pass. But, you know, Game Pass is a given. However, it's Nintendo and Sony where they tend to have mixed reception when it comes to remakes, remasters, and ports of their older titles. When Sony remasters or ports one of their older games onto the PS4, they do one of two things. They either bundle games in a collection, or they re-release them under the PlayStation Hits banner and sold them at $20, which, you know what, that's a good deal. Nowadays, they don't do that anymore. Instead, Sony keeps remaking The Last of Us for every single PlayStation console they release. I swear, with the PS4 Pro, there's going to be a Last of Us 1 Definitive Edition Pro Edition. Which, yeah, it gets very annoying. And don't get me wrong, I like The Last of Us, but I'm getting tired of The Last of Us. But yeah, during the PS4 era, Sony remakes, remasters, and ports were decent to great overall. However, in the case of Nintendo, let's just say that it starts to show a more complicated subject to analyze. Because Nintendo, I can just say right now, it's the most 50-50 company when it comes to remaking, remastering, or porting their older games into modern consoles. Now, if we're talking in the era of the Wii and DS/3DS, their remakes/ports were, for the most part, a positive improvement over the original. In fact, I can mention so many of them that we could be here all day mentioning them. But I'll give some examples. The Mario and Luigi remakes, Kirby Superstar Ultra, Mario 64 DS, Star Fox 64 DS, the Zelda games on 3DS, Pikmin 1 and 2 on the Wii, Kirby's Dream Collection on the Wii, and of course, my beloved Metroid Prime Trilogy. Now yes, remakes didn't start with the Wii and DS era, since we had some ports on older consoles like the SNES with Mario All-Stars, or handhelds with the advanced games, which, now that I said that out loud, Nintendo really had a thing for porting their core Mario games to every console in existence. It's almost as bad as Doom, although you cannot play Mario Bros. On a pregnancy test, last thing I checked. But I covered more modern consoles, since those were the Nintendo consoles I grew up with, and I wasn't aware about the existence of remakes, so I thought Mario All-Stars on the Wii was a new 2D Mario game. Yeah, I know, you can laugh at me now. But enter March 2017, where Nintendo's brand new flagship console released to the world, the Nintendo Switch. And once it was released, Nintendo made it their mission to port some of its older titles to its brand new console, which, to some extent, makes sense, especially if those titles were released on the Wii U, Nintendo's most recent failure. However, that's not to say that Nintendo really dropped the ball with these remakes and ports, because let me tell you something, if there's one thing I love about video game companies, is buying a new version of a game I already own that adds no new content, and you can also need to pay full price for it. Yay. And funny enough, I'm not alone in this criticism, since more people are starting to take notice about Nintendo's overpriced remakes and ports. So, because I have nothing else to do besides doing Let's Plays, considering that Let's Plays are a dead art at this point, let's go and take a look at every single one of these remakes, remasters, and ports, and see if they are actually worth buying, or if it's better just to get the original version of these games that are usually cheaper, even though some of them you can't buy anymore because the Wii U and 3DS eShops are closed, and some eShop titles are exclusive, meaning that they're now lost media. Man, I love when companies care about game preservation, especially when Nintendo strikes one of the largest ROM sites in the world. And no, I'm not letting that go. Nintendo is evil. And to make it more fun and original, in humongous quotation marks, I decided to rank every single one of these games in a tier list, from remakes that are a must-buy to games that are just the original with an HD texture filter or straight up garbage cash grabs. Now before we begin, I guess we have to consider some ground rules. Number one, I will only be looking at first-party Nintendo titles, since those are the games that Nintendo tends to sell at high price, and if they release them on other consoles, I can guarantee that 95% of the time those games on other platforms will be on discount. Because if there's one thing Nintendo hates to do is put their games on discount. And in my search for these remakes, remasters, and ports, as of right now, I found a whopping 31 remakes, remasters, and ports, or ports. Number two, out of all the 31 games in this list, 5 of these games I've never played or experienced the original release or remake. So I will be looking at them with a more generous eye, but at the same time, I will be comparing them more than usual to see if the Switch port is worth it. And finally, I'm going to review these games by answering the following question. How much exclusive content does the game have over the original, and is the content extensive enough to guarantee a purchase? Now, I'm just gonna tell you right now, this will be a very subjective take on these games. So everything I say in this video, take it with a grain of salt. But these are my takes on games that, quite frankly, should all have been 40 bucks, at the very least, not 60. And hey, if you have a game in this video that I say is a soulless cash grab, don't feel bad. If you wanted to buy the game and you are enjoying it, more power to you. The purpose of this silly, stupid video is to analyze every game in this list and judge it by how much improvement it makes over the original. So, with that said, let's begin with a game you can't even get anymore! Yippee! Okay, so let's get this game out of the way first, since, well, you can't buy this game at all. When Mario's 35th anniversary dropped, Nintendo announced its worst kept secret at the time, a collection that includes Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy, all for the low, affordable price of 60 bucks, with no Galaxy 2 or the superior Mario 64 DS. And you can only buy this game until March 31st of 2021 before the game got delisted from the eShop and then delisted on the other shops. So yeah, we are now covering a dead game at this point. But let's assume that Nintendo cares for game preservation and compare each game to their original versions. Let's start with Mario 64. So the version of Mario 64 is based on the Japanese re-release, also known as the Shindu version, which added rumble feature, got rid of the famous bugs like the backwards long jump, and it also changed some lines like the famous and replaced them with bye-bye. However, the biggest issue about this version is that, well, that's pretty much it. The game did receive an HD texture filter selectively, but the game is also stuck on its original 4:3 aspect ratio, which I really don't care, but it's a bit awkward when Sunshine and Galaxy got widescreen support when 64 got pretty much nothing. I mean, at this point, I could just go and say that you should go play 64 DS, which is the better game, but I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for saying that for some reason, because how dare I say 64 DS is better. Now, as for Sunshine and Galaxy, they did some controller adjustments, like having moving and stand still squirt nozzle as separate buttons, which I'm gonna be honest, it threw me completely off guard when I went to play the original Sunshine on GameCube, because yeah, those things are one button, which makes sense considering, you know, adaptive GameCube controllers, and also there was no R2 or L2 in PlayStation talk. And as for Galaxy, they mapped the spin button to a move. No, wait a minute. And as for Galaxy, they mapped the spin move to a button. However, because the game uses pointer controls, you have to use gyro aiming or use the touchscreen while in handheld mode, which is by far one of the worst controlling things I've ever experienced in a video game. No, I'm not lying when I say that. Overall, Super Mario 3 All-Stars is a mixed bag. But as someone who found value in this collection with Sunshine and the original 64, since I was able to play them for the first time ever, I can say with confidence that honestly for me, this purchase was worth it. However, because this game is no longer available, we are just gonna have to put this game on a tier of its own and move on. But if I were to put this on an existing tier, I would go on the HD texture filter / same game. It's not a bad collection, but honestly, Nintendo did the bare minimum with this one. I mean, hell, if Konami can pull off a video game collection, you know it's bad for you, Nintendo. And no, I'm not talking about the Metal Gear collection. I'm talking mainly the Castlevania collections, which are top tier collections, by the way. Okay, now for the real first game on the list. A game that flew under everyone's radar, which is unfortunate because this remake is incredible. Reboot Camp is a huge improvement over the first two Advance Wars games. The quality of life features are great, the new OST is beautiful, and the love and dedication that WayForward put in this game with the animations and charm makes this game a definitive improvement over the original. So, with all these claims, this game should be a Switch must-have, right? Well, this game is priced at $60, which I feel it's way too much. And also, this game was a commercial flop. Yeah, I'm not kidding. This game got delayed not once, but twice, making the hype for the game die out really quick, to the point that this game, when it came out, people were like, oh yeah, the game came out. Anyway, back to Zelda. So yeah, it was pretty bad. Which, not to mention, the online features were pretty much non-existent, which in high regard doesn't bother me since I don't like playing online. I mean, hell, when it comes to multiplayer games, we gather on the couch, the smelly ass couch, and we build up the toxicity until someone breaks and starts throwing fists. And I know that from actual experience, believe it or not. But yeah, all of these points aside, I can honestly put this game as a Switch must-buy just to, you know, give moral support to the game. But as it is, I can honestly put this game in the next tier, which is a definite improvement over the original. It's not a bad remake, but I feel that Nintendo did nothing to salvage this one. So here we have the first game that I haven't experienced. Yeah, I know, game number 3, or 2 if you don't count 3D All-Stars. Now, this is a Warriors game, and I have played Hyrule Warriors to death, so I'm pretty sure I know what I'm getting into. Not to mention, this game is a remake of a game on the 3DS. No, I'm sorry, new 3DS, which by default makes it a better version. Now, I will talk about Hyrule Warriors later, but if you own the 3DS version and the Wii U version, chances are that yes, the 3DS version has more content, but if you were to ask people which version you would rather play for hours, I'm pretty sure that people will say, yeah, the Wii U version, because I don't want to have cramps in my hands by playing the 3DS version. Wait, cramps? No. Carpal tunnels. Oh my god. So by default, this game goes on the improvement over the original tier. Even if I've never played it, but again, it's a Warriors game, and if you've played one of them, you've played all of them, which is kind of sad to some extent. Oh my god, 2 blind games in a row! Yeah, I never got into Miitopia, mainly because it looked very stupid. Yeah, I know, that's my excuse. Having your Miis go on a quest to retrieve faces sounded so dumb that I just did not care. Not to mention that I'm pretty sure when this game came out, I was in the mind space of, okay, will this be as cool as Wii Sports Resort? If it's not, then get the hell out of my house. So yeah, my big dumb brain didn't comprehend the appeal because I watched my best friend literally last week play this game, and the characters I saw, or the characters he created, were a sight to behold. Which brings us to the best feature about this remake by a long shot, and that is the ability to create your own Mii characters. And I'm putting that in huge quotation marks because I'm pretty sure that this will never be in an official Mii creator. And they give you a lot of freedom in this creator menu. So much, in fact, that you can create insane characters like Shrek, King Dedede, Barack Obama, Peter Griffin, even the salesman from Faces of Evil. What do you mean he has a name? Marshu? So yeah, because of this insane character creator, this game goes into the improvement tier for sure. Now that being said, this game is priced at $50 when the original was, what, $40, $30? So I guess $20/$10 more for the character creator, I guess. But hey, at least it's not $60, right? Oh boy. Now this game was a huge improvement over the previous game, 3D Land for the 3DS. Multiple characters, fun power-ups, Miiverse stamps that are useless since Miiverse is dead, and of course, the amazing lore of 3D World brought to us by Phil.
Each post on Miiverse, I forget where he starts. I don't think he starts from World 1. It starts becoming like this descent into madness of everyone in the game turning into tanukis or cats, and they just start trying to talk, but all they do is respond with meow. It's so good.
Uh-oh.
Now that being said, the differences in the main game are very minuscule, such as the game being a bit more fast-paced in the Switch version, although I've seen that it catches players off guard, missing precise jumps more frequent, which is really funny. But the fact that you don't need the Wii U gamepad for its touch controls or mic gimmick stages makes them a better in the long run. Also, multiplayer Captain Toad, so that's fun. The game also supports online play, but yeah, have fun with the laggy and poor performance of NSO. And also, the stamps were also reworked, as now they serve as stickers for a new photo mode, which at this point is a mandatory feature in every game in existence. I mean, hell, even Demon's Souls Remake has it, and that's pretty much considered a pause button by many. So yeah, in terms of changes, 3D World does the bare minimum in quality of life improvements, and I would honestly put this game in the same game tier. However, we still need to address the cat in the room, and that is a mode that, quite frankly, should have been a separate game. Okay, so I'm gonna say this. When gameplay for this mode was announced, I got excited mainly because of the concept. A free roaming mode where you get to explore different islands, tackle platforming obstacles, deal with enemies that have cat ears for some reason, and the best feature of all, get assaulted by the most insane and badass version of Bowser yet, God Slayer Bowser, which in America is known as Fury Bowser, which sounds super lame. Man, why does Japan have the cooler things? Where every couple of minutes, he comes out of his shell and literal hell breaks loose. And then you get to fight him in a kaiju-style battle. So yeah, this mode sounds awesome. Except that when you analyze the content, it can be a bit disappointing. And that's mainly because of 4 reasons. Number 1, most of the cat shines are reused but with different level geometry and enemies to avoid. Like, get the shine but you fight Goombas. Get the shine but you fight Koopas instead, which, yeah, it becomes very monotonous. Number 2, some cat shines require God Slayer Bowser to breathe his fire into Bowser blocks to destroy them, while most of the time you're just standing there waiting for... Wait, why does autocorrect says this? For the Bowser. Yes, we have to wait for the Bowser to wake up, which is very annoying because you basically have to wait pretty much minutes for him to wake up, considering that every time he goes up, if you collect a cat shine, he automatically goes back to sleep, which, yes, is very annoying. Number 3, with the exception of Boom Boom and Pom Pom sometimes, the fights against Bowser are pretty much the same, with the exception that every new fight he has one new attack, at the very least. Sometimes it's just the same fight. And the final fight is just a chase sequence, which, cool, but really? That's how you're gonna end it? And finally, probably the more annoying part of the game, in the post-game, there is this island with 5 cat shines that spawn every time Bowser wakes up. And every time you get one of them, Bowser will go away after collecting one of them, which means that if those are the last 5 cat shines you need, you have to wait even more for Bowser to pop up. And this just now becomes padding, and I hate it. So yeah, even though this new mode can be the foundation for the next big 3D Mario game, which after some ironing on the kitchen, it can actually be a great game, the fact that this game has some very bad padding issues, and also the fact that you can beat this mode in pretty much 5 hours or less, I will be placing this game in the not enough content tier. Now, before we move on to the next game, you may be asked, okay John, how extensive the content must be for it to receive a more positive placing on the tier list? My answer would be, if the content is extensive to the point that it has a lot of replayability, I will accept it as an improvement. That's why I place Miitopia on that tier, because of the many stupid characters I can come up with and maybe do a parody of some movie or show. It's that dumb, and that's why I love it. And now people will call me a hypocrite when I say that Pikmin 3 Deluxe is a Switch must-have, but let me explain. Number 1, it has all the DLC from the Wii U for free. So if you didn't purchase it, like I did, you can enjoy it with this version. Number 2, it added some Olimar side levels that are more challenge mode stages, or according to Pikmin 4, Dandori's stages. Number 3, it added some quality of life features like the ability to play the main story co-op. Finally, the Go Here mechanic being active at the start. Only one type of Pikmin will charge instead of all of them, making enemies and hazards more easy to deal with. A new difficulty for replayability and mastery of Dandori with a game journalist mode and a harder mode that limits your field Pikmin to 60 and then less juice for fruits. And finally, the feature that made this game up a tier automatically, the Piklopedia. One of the greatest features in the entire Pikmin franchise, bar none. I mean, with just the Piklopedia, I could have just placed this game on the improvement tier, but considering we got extra content, quality of life features that are worth a damn, and controls that would later get perfected in Pikmin 4, this game goes into a Switch must-have tier. Now that being said, this game was a bit trickier to place because of the controls. So a long time ago, I tried to play Pikmin 1 and 2 on the GameCube after playing them non-stop on the Wii, and after one true in-game day, I went back to the Wii version. I don't know what it is, but there's something about the GameCube games that just do not click with me at all. Maybe it's because I got used with the Wiimote and Nunchuck control set, but I just cannot play the original games on GameCube. And for a very long time, I gave Pikmin 3 Deluxe the cold shoulder because of the fact that you could not play with those controls. Now, yes, you could use Joy-Cons, but the Joy-Cons are one of the worst Nintendo controllers ever made, and I will die on this hill. But after replaying a couple times the demo and trying out the full game after playing Pikmin 4, I got used to it, to the point that I might go and retry the GameCube games since they now have retro achievement sets, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, in terms of controls, I will always prefer the Wii format, but surprisingly, 3 Deluxe did the impossible and made me a believer of these controls. Oh boy. Now this game was by far the hardest one to rank because when it comes to the general opinions in this game, from what I've seen online, there are a lot of things that are better than the original, but at the same time, worse than the original. So much in fact that people to this day are still debating what version is the best. So for this entry, we will analyze the pros and cons of this remake by looking at 5 different topics. The first topic is graphics and performance. Now, in terms of graphics, the Switch has a revamped art style, and I thought it was going to be just an HD texture filter, but looking at comparison videos, it clearly shows that Nintendo actually put effort into this one. I know, Nintendo putting effort on a remake, the nerve of them. But while the graphics and art style look gorgeous, I can't say the same about the frame rate. The original GameCube version runs at 60 frames per second, while the remake runs at 30. Now, I'm not someone who cares that much about frames per second in a game. I mean, hell, one of my top 5 favorite games of all time is Bloodborne. And anyone who's played Bloodborne knows how bad that game can chug. It is amazing how that game plays, and it's just a laggy mess. Like, my god. No wonder people are requesting a Bloodborne remake. Like, good lord. No, but seriously, Sony, stop investing money into dumb shit. Just give us Bloodborne remake, please. I will buy it. I will buy 4 of them if necessary. But when it comes to a game that requires you to be specific with your inputs, that can spell disaster for some live or die scenarios, like some fights in the pit of 100 trials. Not to mention, because of the low frames per second, sometimes the game can be slow, especially in text boxes and end of battle animations. And considering this is an RPG where you have a lot of text and a lot of grinding, it stacks up really quick. How annoying am I getting right now? Number 2 is the soundtrack. Now, this topic is completely subjective, but I'm 50-50 with the soundtrack of the remake. Some tracks are a literal mixed bag, like the X-Naut Fortress. Rogue port. And I hate to say it, the final boss theme removes some of the creepy vibes that the original track had. But at the same time, it has some great tracks like Hooktail's Castle, every party member having a theme motif, new tracks that were definitely cut content, but my favorite aspect of the soundtrack are the Thousand-Year Door area, adding more powerful and mysterious build-up the more crystal stars you get. And borrowing a page from Origami King, the battle theme has a different instrumentation depending on the chapter you find yourself at. But overall, as someone who is passionate about game soundtracks, I hate to admit that this soundtrack is not perfect. It has really good tracks, but it also has abysmal tracks. Next up, we have The Charm. One of the best aspects of this game is that they literally pulled an Okami, or Mario and Luigi, and added character gibberish to dialogue speeches depending on the character. And as someone who prefers Mario and Luigi over Paper Mario, I approve of this tiny little inclusion. It gives the game and the characters more charm and a little bit more personality when some intense moments are going on, which is actually something that I can give this game the approval. The next point is difficulty. Now, I'm not expecting this game to be Dark Souls, but a major critique about this game, and other RPGs we'll see later, is that because of the quality of life features, the game can get way too easy. Some examples include higher inventory cap, Crystal Stars abilities being easier to exploit and deal max damage, stage hazards tend to benefit Mario to the point of absurdity, but the two most insulting things when it comes to difficulty are the inclusion of auto checkpoints if you die in a battle. Now yes, yes, the 3DS Mario and Luigi titles had that, except for Inside Story. But Paper Mario is more about learning enemy moves and trying to counter them to deal damage or minimize damage. While Mario and Luigi, you learn enemy patterns to avoid and counterattack, which is completely absurd. And the second inclusion is a checkpoint system for the Pit of 100 Trials, which completely eliminates the challenge of said trial. Or it's like putting a save point in the middle of the flop side Pit of 100 Trials, you know? I mean, hell, imagine you're playing Hades, but there's an option to spend darkness to go to Elysium. I know, it makes no sense, but so does this checkpoint system. And finally, we have point number 5, the extra content. Now, we come to the main point that it's the exclusive content, which there is a little to talk about. Now, yes, we do get a music player and some art galleries that you can very easily see them with a quick Google search. But hey, at least this game has some post-game content, like a fight against a new super boss of the game. And yeah, that's pretty much it. All my research has led me to this, so there you go. So with all these points discussed, what's the final verdict? While the music is 50-50, has an easier difficulty curve and lower frame rate, the game also has a gorgeous art style and elements of charm, but the extra content is probably the worst of all games that we've covered so far, which unfortunately gives me no option to put this game into the not enough content tier. And also, if the Paper Mario fanboys haven't started a fire yet, Origami King is better. We're just gonna put this game right here and moving on to... Okay, fine, let's talk about this game. Except, not really, because what's the point? This game literally makes the original Wii U version 100% obsolete. So that said, let's just see what this game does better. We have an expanded character roster with new faces like King Boo, Dry Bones, and the Inklings. We have new car parts. Well, one, but I guess it counts. We get the return of old items like the troll that is the Boo item and the cape feather. This game comes with all the DLC from the original for free, which is awesome for me because I didn't bought it. We have a new and improved battle mode, and should I need to include the Booster Course Pass, which adds 48 new retro tracks and tracks from the Mario Kart game I Want to Forget It exists. I mean, yeah, at this point, the only reason to go back to the original Wii U version is to play the god-awful battle mode, or if you want to show off to other players by fire hopping all over the place. And you can't even do that because the online servers are shut down. I mean, I guess the saving grace is the ROM hacking universe with Mario Kart 8 custom tracks, if it has one, I actually don't know. But yeah, Mario Kart 8 on Wii U is pretty much a dead game, and Deluxe is thriving like nothing else. I mean, it's not the highest selling Switch game for nothing, guys. So, I mean, hell, this game could be a tier of its own, but you know, I'm pretty sure that every single person who owns a Nintendo Switch has this game. And if you don't,
what's wrong with you?
Now these games, I'm counting them as a bundle since you can get them together or pay extra for both of them separately for some reason. But as someone who's not interested in Bayonetta outside of Smash, both these games are essentially the originals with an HD texture filter. Now this would be a problem, but they get redeemed for the fact that they are not full priced. And honestly, considering that Bayonetta 2 was a Wii U exclusive title, makes a lot more sense to bring it to the Switch with just an HD texture filter. And for Bayonetta 1, you also get the Nintendo exclusive costumes, so yeah, both these games go on the HD tier. I mean, it's not bad because honestly, these games are great from what I've heard, so they do get a pass. I mean, hey, at least they're not cash grabs or overpriced. Okay, so here we have one of the 3 games that inspired this video. Actually, no, one of the 4 games that inspired this video. We have Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. And the main reason why this game inspired this video is because it is the exact same game as the Wii U version. But John, you might be yelling, don't forget that there's this new funky mode. And yes, you are correct. The one new addition to this game is a character made for game journalists. And I would like to point out that the Wii U version was $50, but the Switch version is $60. So yeah, For 10 extra bucks, you get to fulfill your dream by becoming a game journalist by playing as the most overhyped character from Mario Kart Wii and Mario Kart 8. Yes, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for saying that, but I'm getting tired of Funky Kong being the most overhyped character ever. Yes, I know that he was broken in Wii, and he is apparently the broken character in 8, because of course he is. But hey, you know what? At the very least, we got Pauline in 8, so we got my queen there. So yeah, I was tempted to name this game as a cash grab, but since you can get it for cheaper on Wii U, I'm gonna be extra mean to this game until you go play the original. And yes, the gates of hell are opening, and the millions of DK fans are fuming mad right now. Give me more hate. I feed off the hate. Hurt me more. Except that that's not the only bashing I'll do to the DK series. More on that later. I'll be honest, this is a must-buy. Easy must-buy. So the 3DS version was, at its core, the Wii U version with quality of life improvements like being able to switch characters in main story mode, which thank God that's a thing, having all the DLC of the Wii U version for free, having exclusive DLC like more adventure maps and new characters like Yuga, Ravio, Marin, and Toon Link, or Toon Link but with the Sand Rod from, I want to say, Spirit Tracks? I haven't played it, so I don't know. And new story arcs like Linkle, and a super epilogue, or I guess a epilogue of an epilogue, with Wind Waker levels and characters like Toon Link, King Daphnes, and Medley. And also a new feature called My Fairy, which honestly explaining it would take me the entire video. Yeah, I'm just gonna put a pin in there because yeah, that My Fairy system is probably one of the most complicated things, period, at least from what I've seen in a Warriors game. And so essentially, the Switch version is the 3DS version, but in HD. I mean, that's the most generous thing I can give it. It's basically the same scenario as Fire Emblem Warriors. But why is this game a Switch must-have? This game has so much content. Like, to this day, this is still my most played Switch game. And I got this game, like, on 2021. And I stopped playing it on 2020. Or, no, wait. And I stopped playing it on 2022. So, yeah, I would say less than a year. But I literally broke a controller. Or a controller started malfunctioning because of it. So, you know, take that as you will. Not to mention that the 3DS version was actually responsible for breaking my 3DS analog stick, so yeah, I have a little bit of a grudge against that version. But yeah, this game has so much content that it competes against other games for most content in probably this entire video. And you'll be here playing this game for literal months trying to do everything. Which, yeah, I can completely vouch for that. This game is massive, has an enormous cast, probably one of the best casts of characters ever, multiple costumes that make a lot of references to other Zelda games, the Warriors gameplay, which is addicting, the amazingness that is the absolute masterclass of a soundtrack. I mean, I could just listen to Silent Guardians forever. The adventure maps have creative gimmicks, even though the rack up the KO count is very obnoxious because of how long because of the long timer, and Young Link is a broken mess. So yeah, with that said, this game's Switch must buy. On one hand, it's awesome that we now have every console Pikmin game available on Switch. And yes, I said console Pikmin game. Don't worry, hey Pikmin, I still care about you. But on the other side, both these games are essentially the GameCube version with an HD texture filter and widescreen support. And that's pretty much it. Now, as I mentioned in the Pikmin 3 section, I could not get into these versions of 1 and 2, but, you know, the silver lining to all of this is that, similar to the Bayonetta games, both of these games come in a bundle for $50. Which I think that's a bit too much. Now yes, Pikmin 2 is a big game, but Pikmin 1 is a very short game. In fact, you can literally beat this game in a day, or real life day. I mean, hell, my record for Pikmin 1 is 12 in-game days. And I should clarify the Wii version, because I'm pretty sure that GameCube will take me even more. But yeah, this is a bit too much. Now, I really hate to be negative towards Pikmin, considering that it's my third favorite Nintendo franchise alongside Mario, Luigi, and Metroid. But yeah, this game is just an HD texture filter. So there you go. Are you happy now? I'm not. I wanted more of this. Should I rank this game? I don't know if I should, because it's a free-to-play game. Now, yes, it has microtransactions, just like the 3DS version, but it's a free game. So yeah, we're just gonna put it on a tier of its own because it's free. I mean, who the hell still plays this game? That's the real question. I'm not gonna lie, when I finished the script, I looked back before recording and I actually forgot to write an entry or write some notes for this entry, so oops. But good old Captain Toad has a lot of improvements for this one, like 4-player co-op, which is pretty awesome, improved controls from the Wii U version, exclusive Odyssey levels, which are not just the Odyssey maps, like whatever they did with 3D World levels, which was really stupid, I'm not gonna lie, and a brand new exclusive DLC chapter with a bunch of new puzzle levels. And me being a puzzle man myself who adores puzzles, I approve of this. This charming surprise game on the Wii U did get a lot of improvements, and I can easily place this game on the improvements tier, mainly because of how much content and quality of life there is. And I love it because this game is awesome. Am I the only one who can say that this game pretty much came and went? And many people say that this game is not worth its price of admission. Now, as someone who recently played the original GBA version after playing to death Miniland Mayhem, this game is more of a sequel to Donkey Kong 94. But overall, the gameplay is fun, and the story is every hungry gamer craving for that one limited edition collectible, which I can relate if it's Metroid related or related to my favorite game of all time. Now, as for the remake, the graphical overhaul is pretty incredible. The cutscenes went from still images to fully animated with some facial expressions, which is cool for the Monkey Man, and the gameplay has been refined to an extent. However, there are two issues I have with this game. First off, the game has a game journalist mode called Casual Mode, and my only critique with this is the name. Casual Mode? Casual Mode. I mean, come on. Could you be more on the nose, Nintendo? I feel that this name is an insult to us gamers. The second issue is this game is basically the GBA version with a graphical overhaul. Now yes, there's the inclusion of co-op, but these puzzle games were designed to be solved by yourself, and co-op will basically break these. But if you're just playing casually, no, not that casual. Oh my god, why did they name it like that? Then I guess you can break these puzzles with a friend or a sibling. Overall, I hate to say this, but this game is just another port with an HD texture filter. Now, thankfully, it's a ginormous filter, but it's a filter nonetheless. Must buy. This game is a must buy. So I got into this game as a gift, and let me tell you that I am so pissed that I slept on this amazing game. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is, as the name implies, the definitive way to play this masterpiece. And another reason this game is a must-buy is because trying to get the original Wii release is as hard as trying to find my interest in doing a Pokemon Let's Play. Not to mention, the Switch version comes with a brand new exclusive expansion, Future Connected, and I am so excited to keep playing this game and one day get invested in the other games, even though they are fucking long. Now, if only Xenoblade X was on Switch, and that would be a dream come true. But yeah, this is easily a must buy. I can easily say this game is a definitive must buy. I also now get why a lot of YouTubers love this game to death. Speaking of Pokemon, okay, so this is gonna be a quick one since the only difference that I've noticed is that there are more exclusive Pokemon to choose from than the Wii U version, like Decidueye with Aegislash and Blastoise being added as DLC. And there's also Pokemon exclusive to the arcade version, which I had no idea there was an arcade version. But yeah, we got Empoleon, Darkrai, Krogunk, and Scizor. Or Scizor. I don't know. I always call scissors Skizors. Yeah, I'm just gonna say Scizor. But yeah, other than that, there are some quality of life aspects like a 3v3 match or a replay option that shows button inputs, which That's pretty cool. But other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'll just mark this game as an improvement over the original, which honestly was surprising because I was this close to put it into not enough content. But hey, who knew the power of research can change your opinion on something? And you know what? Since we covered Pokken, let's just get the other Pokemon games out of the way. So this is the only game in this list where I have no knowledge about this game. I literally have no idea what this game is. The only like things I've seen of this game are the first video of Sugar Conroy's Let's Play, and that's it. That's literally it. So yeah, this is gonna be a very hard one to make. But comparing Mystery Dungeon DX to their GBA versions, all the changes are a free choosing of your protagonist Pokemon, no version exclusive Pokemon, because of course, more items, fast travel, mega evolutions, apparently, new type of dungeon rooms, some movement and attack reworks, and of course, the beautiful crayon-like art style. I mean, that's pretty much it. So with all these points mentioned, I could place this game in the improvement tier after reading them out. Yeah, this was a very boring one, I'm sorry, but I wish I could know more of this game. So fun fact, if you include the Kanto, why do I keep saying Kanto? This is not Encanto, man. So fun fact, if you include the Kanto visits in Gen 2, this makes it the 5th remake of Kanto. Kanto! But I'm just gonna compare this game to its Gen 1 siblings, Pokemon Let's Go. No, wait. So I'm just gonna compare this game to Gen 1 and the Gen 1 remakes that were released alongside Gen 3. This is so confusing, I'm just gonna move on. Pokemon Let's Go is the 3rd version of Kanto, and it is one of the Pokemon games of all time. I mean, I could just move on from there, but I'm pretty sure it has been mentioned to death at this point, so let's just get to why this game is the worst version of Kanto. Number 1, you're forced to use the Joy-Con as a remote, which I don't mind because Metroid Prime Trilogy made me used to the remote control pointer. However, I would not complain if the Joy-Cons were one of the worst controllers Nintendo has ever made. Seriously, every single Joy-Con I own had drifting issues, or the L and R buttons just don't work. And for almost 5 years, I haven't used my Joy-Cons to play a game ever. Super Mario Party is literally the dustiest game in my Switch collection, which made me very worried for Jamboree because of the name Super Mario Party, but thankfully Joy-Cons are optional. Thank God. Number 2, catching Pokemon can be super tedious since the motion control of the Joy-Cons can be very off sometimes. I mean, at this point, you could have just played handheld and just use your finger. That would be pretty cool. And finally, number 3, this is a baby game for babies. Honestly, this might be the easiest Pokemon game in existence. Every single tier list I've seen when it comes to Nuzlocke, they put this game not in the easy tier. They put it on the bottom tier, the baby tier, which, you know, in the long run, it can be okay if it's your first Pokemon game. Well, in general, not Nuzlocke. But as a veteran Pokemon fan, this game can be very stale and very boring. And I should know, because I play the game, and I don't even like Pokemon. So there you go. However, that's not to say that this game is completely bad. There are some aspects it did right, like wild Pokemon being visible, which would be implemented in future Pokemon games, for better and for worse. But I'm not gonna get into that. And the fact that you can ride Pokemons and just have fun with it, it's pretty cool. So overall, Let's Go does things right, but as a Kanto remake, this is definitely the worst one. And I'm just gonna place this game in go play the original tier, where you just go play either red, blue, and yellow, or fire red and leaf green. Like, those are definitely the better ones. But now we come to the final Pokemon game, and the first game where I can say with confidence that this game is a worthless cash grab, and that is the Sinnoh Remakes, or the Sinnoh remake, since Platinum is a remake of Diamond and Pearl. Yeah, these re-releases are very confusing sometimes. Now, there are countless of videos as to why these games are, you know, bad, but I will just do a bullet point of the problems it has. Number 1, it omits selective aspects from Platinum, like the full Sinnoh decks, story arcs, and the Battle Frontier. Number 2, it uses a chibi-looking art style, which I personally don't mind, but I feel that every character has a bobblehead, which is very obnoxious sometimes. Number 3, you can have Pokemon follow you, yes, that is cool, but unlike other games like the Gen 2 games, they don't follow your speed, and they're also solid objects, unlike, you know, the Gen 2, and even Let's Go, which, yeah, I don't know why that's even a thing. Number 4, this game is riddled with bugs and glitches, which honestly does not surprise me one bit considering this is Game Freak we're talking about. And considering the state of Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet when they released, yeah, it shouldn't surprise anyone, to be honest. And finally, the game released right after Legends Arceus, which this game was essentially an afterthought by Game Freak, and I guess this was their response to the demand for a Sinnoh remake so that we would just shut up. But yeah, overall, BDSP is a game that no one wanted in this state, and if Game Freak actually cared for once, which, you know, that totally happens, they would have remade Platinum. But they didn't because they wanted to sell 2 versions so that people would spend on both of them. Because, you know, Game Freak is lazy. Which, by that statement, it goes into the cash grab because, yeah, these games are bad. and it's pretty funny because BDSP are basically a worse version of Diamond and Pearl, which they are a worse version of Platinum, which is the best version of Sinnoh to this day, which is really sad. But there we go. With that out of the way, I now covered, oh my god, I cannot talk today. This Pokemon talk is messing my brain. But at least we're done with my least favorite Nintendo series. Alright, what's next? Oh, okay, sure. So, we finished my least favorite Nintendo franchise, only to move on to my second least favorite. How many hate comments do I have now? Okay, to be honest, I don't hate the Zelda series, but my biggest problem with it is that it is way too overhyped. Every time a new Zelda comes out, people are going like, oh my god, game of the year, best game ever made, oh my god. And then 2 years later, people are like, actually on second thought, yeah, we overhyped this game way too much. It happened with Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and it's definitely happening with Echoes of Wisdom. Even though Echoes of Wisdom is probably out by the time this video is out, so yeah, there you go. But okay, I'm not gonna let my dislike for the Zelda series affect this ranking, so let's start with the better of the remakes. That being Link's Awakening Deluxe. Because yes, this is the 3rd version of Link's Awakening. However, even though the original and Deluxe had some additions like the Color Dungeon and the Photo Album, Deluxe added and removed some parts from the Game Boy Color version. First off, the trendy game and fishing game have been expanded, with the figurines and extra fishes that will give you heart containers, dungeon items, and some other stuff as well. Some inventory items have now a dedicated button, like the shield and Pegasus boots, which thank god that was the case. They included fairy bottles, but you must use them manually since that would make the Crazy Tracy potion pointless, which I feel that's a good compromise. You can see your collected heart pieces and seashells on the map, which thank god. I really hope that this becomes a feature in future Zelda games, except not really because Aonuma pretty much refuses to go back to the classic Zelda formula, even though, you know, they are better than Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. There are more warp points on the map, and you can actually get to choose where you warp, which I know that's unspeakable, but hey, it's the case. It completely threw me off guard when I played the Game Boy one. The map is way better in this version. And finally, the photo album got replaced by Dampé's Dungeon Maker, which is the most divisive part of the game, mainly because it can get repetitive very quickly, especially if you're going for 100%. Now, there are other changes like a hard mode and a remade art style and soundtrack, but with those previous points mentioned, I can easily place this game in the improvement over the original, as it adds a lot of things in comparison to the original. However, yeah, I kind of miss the photo album. Okay, this is gonna be a quick one because the existence of this game makes me mad. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Skyward Sword, but this is way too much. Graphically, this game looks beautiful, but so did the Wii version. You don't get explanation text from items every time you claim them after starting a new session, which, honestly, the fact that the Wii version did that, is so funny. Fi is no longer annoying, which never bothered me, because I'm not an impatient asshole, selectively. The motion controls have now been refined, but you have to recalibrate your controller every 2 seconds. The game came out with an amiibo that acts as a lazy mode to warp back to the sky or to the surface, which is very dumb. But hey, at least they didn't lock a difficulty option behind amiibo. And yes, I'm still mad at that Metroid 2. Finally, the game is $60 when you can actually buy the original for 20. So yeah, in conclusion, this game was originally going to be a soulless cash grab, but because of the fact that I actually like Skyward Sword, I'm gonna be generous and place this game on the HD texture filters. It's the same game with a little H and a D next to it. Now, I guess before we move on, I guess I should address Breath of the Wild since it was released on the Wii U. Therefore, the Switch game is a port with an HD texture filter. No. Breath of the Wild was developed for the Switch with a Wii U version made as a second thought, since it was a launch title for the system and the Wii U version is inferior in performance aspects. But this game isn't something like Twilight Princess on the Wii where they flipped the game on the Switch. The Wii U and Switch versions are literally the same game. The only thing that changes is the performance differences. So, yeah, Breath of the Wild is the same game tier, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not writing that. That's so stupid. Okay, so a lot of you guys maybe wonder why I'm including this game since, you know, it's a new Mario Party game. What is this game a remake of? Well, in an opportunity to bash this game, I'm going to consider this game a remake of the Top 100 because this game pisses me off to no end. Now, if I had to summarize Mario Party the Top 100 in one sentence, I would honestly say this game is a literal nothing game. 100 minigames, one story mode in huge quotation marks, and one board to play on. And people complain Star Rush is bad. However, I'm not placing Superstars on the highest tier. Instead, I'm placing this game as an improvement over the original, and that's mainly for one reason. Now yes, the game has boards, it has minigame modes. However, the reason why this game is not a Switch must-buy is because this game received no updates whatsoever. In an era where Nintendo releases their sports games with the bare minimum content, which later they would update them every 2 months, which honestly, that pisses me off way too much. Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, I don't care about them, but fucking Strikers, how the hell do you fuck up Strikers? I'm not letting that go. Strikers Battle League might be my least favorite game of all time. The fact that a Strikers game is my least favorite game of all time pisses me off to no end. But I feel that out of all the games where they basically have this formula, this game should have been part of this trend, even if people will not agree with me. Now yes, 5 boards is way too low. In fact, this game ties with Mario Party DS as the game with the lowest amount of boards at 5. Now, this game should have had updates, like adding new minigames or boards from games like Mario Party 6, Mario Party 8. Hell, if they decided to include a board and minigames from DS, I would have placed this game as a must-buy. And no, not because Mario Party DS is my favorite Mario Party game, but because it showed that Nintendo actually cared. Now, there is a chance that Jamboree will have this treatment, or maybe not, considering the fact that this game has a lot of content is pretty incredible. But as it stands out, Mario Party Superstar had the potential of being a Switch must-buy, but comparing it to Top 100, this game goes into the improvement. Again, if Nintendo really cared, this should have been a must-buy. Oh, this one hurts. This one really hurts. Now, I do found the outline graphical overhaul questionable, but over time, it started to appeal to me. And the fact that you can play as Forgotten Land Dedede makes it so that this might be, finally, the King's ultimate design, unless they change it in the next game, because God forbid we have a consistent Dedede design. Now, that being said, the extra content found in this game is interesting. For starters, we now have 2 brand new copy abilities with Sand and Mech, which have cool movesets, but yay, I guess. I mean, the only ways you can get them is by inhaling new enemies, but no new mini bosses. Now, that would have been cool. Next up is the Magalore Park, which at its core, it's basically a minigame collection. Now, it does have a stem mechanic, which you can unlock masks to use in the main game, which is pretty cool. But some of them are locked behind online. And as someone who likes to platinum games, there is nothing more infuriating than locking a platinum trophy behind behind online trophies. I'm pretty sure that every Sony fan hates this trend. Because of online trophies, I cannot platinum Demon's Souls Remake. And finally, we have the brand new mode, Magolor Epilogue, where you can power up Magolor from a puny baby to a demigod of mass destruction. With the exception that this mode is only 2 hours long at best. So yeah, it's at its best a cool mode, but at its worst is a nothing mode. So yeah, a minigame collection and a 2-hour sub mode won't save this one. Now, if they did change extra mode to be the Magolor like epilogue, to have like twisted versions of the main game, but you play as Magolor instead, in a way similar to DDD Detour and Meta Nightmare Returns, honestly, I would put this game higher. But yeah, this ain't it, Chief. Because honestly, this game could have surpassed Triple Deluxe in my Return to Dreamland Reboot series tier or ranking. The lackluster content gives me no option but to say that this game does not have enough content. Honestly, I could even say go play the original if I'm feeling bad enough. And now for the game that everyone will call me a hypocrite, because this is a must-buy. Okay, I know that this game should belong in the HD tier, since it's literally the same game, but with a graphical overhaul, and the different control configurations are nice, especially for those who want an experience how the GameCube version played, or just, use a Splatoon-like control set, which is very weird, or have the trilogy version, which is bad, or just be, generic and do a twin stick, which is what I did. But the reason I'm putting this game as a must-buy is because I love Metroid, and we need more Metroid love. And the two reasons I'm placing this game as a must-buy are because this game is only $40, and also, if we show Nintendo the money, we may get Prime 2 and 3 remastered before the release of Beyond. I know it's a fever dream, but my Metroid needs will not be fulfilled unless we get more Metroid love in the world. So, Switch must-buy, baby! Okay, so here we have a game where I can't sound super hypocritical, but when this game got announced, I literally lost my mind, because never in a million years would I have predicted a remake of one of my favorite games of all time. I love the original Mario RPG, and I bought this game day one because I wanted to see how different this game is compared to the original. First off, the graphical overhaul is outstanding. The different characters and interactions are spot on and charming as always. Second, this game has brand new original cutscenes when a partner gets introduced or joins the party. My favorite one being Gino's arrival. It's charming and I love it. Thirdly, we have post-game. Kinda. Now yes, it's basically boss rematches and a super boss at the end, but at the very least, the game gave me a challenge, which leads to my one big problem with this game. In compared to the original, this game is fucking easy. Not to mention, we also have a game journalist mode, and the lack of a hard mode just feels like a slap in the face. And the reason this game felt easier was because of the quality of life features. You can now switch party members during battles, eliminating preparation for bosses and fights against really tough bosses like Kulex. When you do a perfect input, your attacks now have a blast that damages the other enemies, making fights a complete breeze, to the point that you can literally win battles with just one move. And finally, they introduced a triple move that may act as a screen nuke or give a huge boost in support, like healing and reviving fallen party members if you use Peach and Mallow's triple move. But to end on a more positive note, we have, of course, say it with me, the music. Oh my god, the music. Now this is a remade soundtrack done right. Yoko Shimomura is an absolute goddess among video game composers. Her new arrangements are on par or even better than the original. Some examples include Rose Town, The Factory, Barrel Volcano, The Battle Victory. And my favorite track from the entire soundtrack, Marry More. And also give a shout out to Yoko's remix of the Coolx theme, which, yes, I know it's the boss theme from Final Fantasy IV, but you know, details. This soundtrack is everything for me, and I really hope that she returns for Mario and Luigi Brothership, because her Mario and Luigi soundtracks are top tier soundtracks of all time. Like, if you don't know what I mean, go listen to the Dream Team soundtrack immediately. It is fucking fantastic, and honestly, I could put Yoko as one of my favorite game composers of all time. And all that said, I can easily place this game as a Switch must-buy, especially if you love the original SNES title. Oh man, so much positivity recently. Let's hope the next game doesn't make me sour too. Oh. And here we have game numero dos that made me want to make this video. Now, let me start by saying that I like Dark Moon. Not as much as the first game or 3, but Dark Moon is a fun game. But if you're telling me that Nintendo ported the 3DS game to the Switch, and the only thing they did to improve the game was to give it an HD texture filter, then we have a big problem. And sadly, we live in a reality where this version is just the 3DS version with an HD texture filter. Now yes, we have the Scarescraper mode, but the one in 3 was 10 times better. Now frankly, if you bundled this game with the first game and the 3DS features, I would keep my mouth shut and place this game on the top tier. But because this is the weakest game of the trilogy with almost no quality of life features, yeah, I'm sorry Luigi, I love you, but your second outing on the Switch is a cash grab. A very easy cash grab. And here we have game numero tres behind this video. So as of this script being recorded, this is the only game on this list that isn't out yet. However, I can say with confidence that this game is another example of a worthless cash grab. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD is at its core the 3DS version but with an HD texture filter, which, okay, that's nice since the 3DS has exclusive content and also expanded on World 9 by adding 8 new tough stages and also new items on the shop. However, a couple of months ago, we got the reveal that the game will be $60. Are you kidding me? Keeping in mind that the Wii version was priced at $50 and the 3DS version was priced at $40, believe it or not. I guess that the HD texture filter was worth 20 extra bucks, maybe. Possibly? I don't know, this is fucking dumb. So yeah, I was originally gonna put this game in the go play the original, depending on the pricing, but because this game is essentially the same as Dark Moon in terms of issues, and the fact that honestly this game should have been bundled with Tropical Freeze, I'm putting this game on the cash grab tier. And can I just say that in the span of 15 years, the only Donkey Kong games we've had are Returns, Tropical Freeze, Returns 3D, Tropical Freeze on the Switch, and now Returns HD. So yeah, the same 2 games re-released on multiple platforms. And all I can say is good. It is finally time that another Nintendo fanbase suffers from a lack of new titles. Now you will suffer the same way we Metroid fans have suffered after no new games after the bad reception of Other M. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we've made it to the final game. And I saved this game specifically for last, because this game is not just a worthless cash grab, but this game is the fourth reason I'm doing this video. This game is a straight up insult to anyone who bought it, and an insult to its series. And it's also the major reason behind this video. So here we go. The one, the only. What do I even have to say about this game that hasn't been mentioned to death at this point? This game is a literal definition of a soulless cash grab. So you know what? I'm going to start with what this game should have been from the start. New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. Take the U out and just say New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. A collection of all 5 NSMB games with the DLC from 2 available for free, plus online support for multiplayer in the other games. Except for DS, but you know, you could actually have online Mario vs. Luigi to compensate. And that's it. If Nintendo did this game, I would honestly put this game in the must-buy tier. Because of the 3DS eShop closing, the NSMB 2 DLC is lost media. By all accounts, you can't get them unless you get ROMs or something, I don't know. But unfortunately, we have to accept this reality where Nintendo doesn't care about what we desire and also not caring about game preservation, even though that's a video for another day. So let's see what we got in this game. Long story short, NSMB Deluxe is the Wii U version, but in some crazy miracle, it's worse than the Wii U version. Now yes, you have both the main game and Luigi U, and one player is no longer stuck as Red Luigi, but outside of that, that's it. Those are the quality of life features in this version. There is no Miiverse, so you can't leave letters to dear old Bowser. One of the most chaotic and trollish modes in the game, Boost Mode, was removed, which also means that the Boost Mode challenges were also removed, and the most insulting aspect of the main games. If you play this game and you have the audacity to bring 3 other people, player 4 is forced to play as a new character Toadette, which is essentially a baby mode, or Nabbit, aka the character for game fucking journalists. Because for some idiotic reason, Yellow Toad and Blue Toad are now considered the same character, but with a different palette swap. What? However, none of that makes me as furious as the fact that this game came out on the exact same day as the Bowser's Inside Story remake. And Nintendo decided to prioritize this soulless remake instead of the game that, at the end of the day, killed Alpha Dream and the 3DS to some extent. And Nintendo, being the good old Samaritan they are, did absolutely nothing to save them, which opened a dark hole in my heart because it meant that we were never going to get a new Mario and Luigi game. However, a light shine upon me, as now we're getting a brand new original Mario and Luigi game, which basically comes to show that this series is better than Paper Mario, since that series got a remake instead of a brand new game. So because this game is a worse version of NSMBU for some reason, and the fact that it had the audacity to put in Hibernation, one of my favorite Nintendo franchises, this game quite literally has no reason to exist. It's not even a cash grab. It doesn't need to exist. And I'm still baffled to this day that Nintendo released this garbage. And there we go. We have covered every Nintendo Switch port, remaster, and remake. And I have to say, looking at this tier list, I was more positive to some games than I thought. And the final tier list results are actually impressive, to be honest. To give you a little bit of reference, this was the OG tier list that I made before writing this script. And I have to admit that some games managed to be better, but at the same time, some games ended up being way worse, which is kind of sad to some extent. But like I said at the beginning of the video, take everything I say in this video with a grain of salt, because these are just my opinions and thoughts on these remakes. And this is something I'm very vocal about when it comes to Nintendo. Well, besides them being very bad when it comes to their fans, but that's a complaint for another for another day. Oh my god. And if you have some that I deemed as bad and you're enjoying your time with them, hey, like I said, more power to you. I just did this silly video showcasing the questionable decisions that the Big N does when it comes time to remake or port one of their old titles. And yes, there might be more in-depth videos on each one of these remakes, but I just did a quote-unquote quick summary just because, again, there's 31 of these. So yeah, this was a big one. So in conclusion, every single one of these games should have been 40%, and I cannot wait for The Last of Us to be on the Nintendo Switch, because man, we need more Last of Us in our life. Wow, this video took me way longer to make. I was originally going to release this video in August, but I got delayed with some animated transitions of yours truly that I had to adjust. But here we have the end of the video. And this little essay is the testing grounds on making more videos like these. And I also want to expand that and do the trademark animated storylines that every animation channel does. But I wanted to do this topic first since it's been in the back of my mind ever since the Dark Moon HD port release, believe it or not, or the announcement actually. So yeah, so happy to have this video done, thankfully. And I want to do more of these animated style essay videos. And I'm gonna try, keyword try, to have one of these videos every 2 months. So because this video is going up on September, I should have the next one on November. But again, I will try with all my efforts since I also have the Let's Plays to work on and the thumbnail arts, some personal art. And not to mention that I'm basically a one-man army. No editing or animation team, it's just me and my schizophrenia. So that's fun. But yes, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and let me know in the comments below which one of these remakes you own, what do you think about them, and hey, what games do you want Nintendo to remaster? Like I said in the video, I want to see Metroid Prime 2 and 3 before the release of 4. And in a perfect world, we could actually have a remake of Hunters and Federation Force, but that is a huge fever dream since nobody talked about Hunters, and who the hell even cares about Federation Force? I mean, that game was disliked to Kingdom Come, so, you know. But yeah, that's all I got. Thank you so much for watching and listening to me rant about Nintendo video games. And make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified of future essay and storytime videos. For the next video, I'm gonna try to make a storytime not related to video games. I have a couple of ideas in mind, like how I got my first phone, or how I lost friends to something that I deemed the boyfriend effect. So yeah, that's gonna be fun to ideal a funny script too, even though I'm not funny. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Take it easy, everyone.